Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, what is going on? I know it's weird, it's Thursday night, and yeah, you're listening to your host, Daniel Stafford. This is the Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal, and tonight it's about Donald Trump, the Thumper. I want to talk about whether he's a narcissist, and I'm going to throw out a little bit of stuff that maybe kind of points to it. Also, I think he is following by the book we're going to call it the manual for the left, because they embrace this strategy and have for so many years. So we're going to jump into that also, and it actually may kind of blend over into a little bit of post-debate comments. Yeah, I realize it was a couple of nights ago. If we have enough time for it, we'll throw some in there. But I also want to touch on the John Paul Ryan budget deal that just happened. That's kind of got me a little fuming, and you should be as well. Also, if we can fit it in before On This Day in History and our Who Said That, I want to talk about some new Christmas placemats. Yeah, because, Christmas is right around the corner. It's roughly a week away. It's next week, Friday. So you're going to need to go out and try and find some of these new Christmas placemats that are being put out there. They're absolutely fantastic. No, they're not. So we'll touch that in a few later on in the show. And as we get started, look, I want you to know that there's a lot of different ways to listen. You could be listening to TuneIn, you can be listening to Spreaker, to Stitcher, you can be on iTunes. Wherever you're at, set this channel as a favorite, click the follow button, whatever you have to do so you don't get left behind. Because if for some strange, crazy reason you do miss the show, just sit tight. There's no need to panic. You'll be able to catch the replay because, yeah, I've got you. Also, in the case you aren't already following on the social media, jump over to the Twitters and follow me over there at Stafford Voice. Look me up on Facebook. All you gotta do is just search for the Stafford Voice. Also, be sure to give some love to the station and all of our affiliates as we go into 2016. 2016 is going to be a huge year. I've got some good stuff planned, and some of it I'm not going to be able to do without your help. So yeah, you're gonna have to stay tuned, and one of the ways you can do that is by heading over to thestaffordvoice.com. Stay up to date with things over there. You'll also be able to sign up for my newsletter. I will be working on that throughout the weekend. Hopefully get that pushed out either Monday or Tuesday. Probably looking at Tuesday for a push date on the newsletter. Because as you know, like I said, Christmas is next week, and a couple of days before Christmas, I like to put out one that talks about the Christmas story. So let's dive into some of this stuff, shall we? What do you say? About Donald Trump. Look, over the weekend, I got really, really ticked off. I mean, that guy, I'm so lucky that as that information came out, that I was not able to reach through a computer screen, my phone, or the television, because I wanted to choke the living crap out of him for what he said. But it really does play into him. I'm being genuine when I say this. I think he is a genuine narcissist. But it plays into the strategy that he is using, and it is the strategy of those on the left. Liberals embrace this strategy like nobody else. And it's really weird to see somebody on the right, or who claims to be on the right, use this strategy. But Thumper decided he wanted to start attacking the only guy that he has yet to attack. The only principled conservative out there who goes against the grain, is not afraid to stand up to his own party, let alone the Democrats. Screw the Democrats for a second. They're over there screwing themselves anyway. He came out and decided he was going to attack the only principled conservative that is not afraid to go against his own party. He only puts one thing ahead of everything else, and that's the Constitution. I've got so much respect for a guy or gal that puts the Constitution so far ahead of everything else that whenever they make a decision, they do so only after consulting what the Constitution says. And what really ticked me off about this was there were other talk show hosts out there. I'm not gonna name them. You know who I'm talking about if you followed anything on social media. If you followed me on social media, you already know who I'm talking about. Okay? Everybody came out and wanted to grab the reins of the damn horse and say, "Whoa, calm down. It's Donald Trump. We got to respect him for what he's saying. Don't worry about whether he called Cruz what he did. Called him a maniac." And kudos to Ted Cruz. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. When he, after Donald Trump, after the Thumper goes out there and calls him a maniac, basically says that he's unfit to be, that he's not fit to be elected as president, he goes out there and calls him a maniac. So what does Ted Cruz do? Look, I love this guy's humor. I don't think a lot of people see it, but when he throws something out, this is a guy you can sit down on your living room couch with. He's just another one of the guys, in my opinion. And he gets out there, and he gets out on the Twitters, and he replies back to Donald Trump with the music video to Flashdance. I'm a maniac on the floor. Honestly, it made me think of the time from when Chris Farley decided he was going to do that in the movie. That was absolutely hilarious. But it really ticked me off to see so many people come out and defend Thumper for what he did, and telling everybody else to calm down. My blood was boiling, and it didn't help that I was already dealing with a massive migraine. And I think it even added to it. It really, really pissed me off. Look, I'm not trying to defend Donald Trump, but he's playing this game exactly what it is. It's a game to him. And just as if it's a game to those on the left. And I realized over the weekend, a good friend of mine, Sam, many of you guys know her. On the Twitters, she was known as @PolitaBunny. And one of the things that she was famous for, and still is her chainsaw. When she gets ready to go rip-roaring into somebody, she grabs her chainsaw, fires that damn thing up, and cuts them to pieces. And over the weekend, I saw her chainsaw just laying there. And I picked it up for just a minute, and I was ready to cut people to pieces. But that's exactly what the left wants us to do. And I'm sorry if some of you guys out there are a little bothered by what I'm saying here. But the last thing I want to do is support Thumper. I don't like Thumper. I think he's got an ulterior motive as to what he's doing. But believe me when I say this. Going forward, when it's time to start cutting crap to pieces, you can bet your ass I'm going to grab that chainsaw and I will wield it just like I will an M4, an M16, an M9, a Ma Deuce, or any other weapon of high caliber, and I will go to war. I'm sick and tired of all this crap. It's not doing anything to help the party. It's not doing anything to help the country. So let me get into this for just a second about his narcissistic behavior. And I hope that I'm able to kind of blend the two of these together. But listen to this. I looked this up over the weekend because, look, I'm trying to figure out Donald Trump while everybody else is over here defending him. Everybody else out there in mainstream media is willing to kiss his ass because he brings them ratings. He brings them ratings and people watch their shows and they spend money because they watch all these damn advertisements. The mainstream media is getting richer by the second whenever he comes on. Look, I would love to reach out to him and get him on the show because I want to cut his little ass to pieces. I want to cut his hair. It's ridiculous. If Putin is out there saying that he wants him for president, he's not the guy I want representing my country. I don't want someone like Vladimir Putin endorsing someone to be our next president. That right there should tell you Donald Trump is not the right guy. Thumper can go thump somewhere else. But check this out. I looked this up over the weekend. Narcissistic personality disorder. Where they are excessively preoccupied with personal adequacy, power, prestige, vanity, mentally unable to see the destructive damage they are causing to themselves and others. There's also a greater risk in men, by the way, for narcissistic personality disorder. But check this out. These are some of the symptoms put out there by the medical industry. Okay? The medical industry says this. Significant impairments in personality functioning manifested by 1. Impairments in self-functioning. Either A or B. Identity. Excessive reference to others for self-definition and self-esteem regulation. Exaggerated self-appraisal may be inflated or deflated or vacillate between extremes. Emotional regulation mirrors fluctuations in self-esteem. All it's saying right there is they only want to inflate themselves. So every damn time Thumper gets out there and talks for 3 hours every damn day, and every 5 seconds, in 5th grade fashion, he gets up there and says, "Hey, I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I don't want to say that because I'm a nice guy." You're not a nice guy. You're an arrogant, pompous ass. exaggerated self-appraisal. I don't praise myself for anything. I've got way too much work to do on myself to go out there and puff myself up. Let's continue, shall we? And a lot of this stuff goes over into what I'm going to talk about here in just a second, and that's how he's playing the game the way the left does. Okay, so hang in there. So this is B. Self-direction. Goal setting is based on gaining approval from others. Personal standards are unreasonably high in order to see oneself as exceptional, or too low based on sense of entitlement, often unaware of own motivations. Right there, all it's saying is he builds himself up to make him think he's something greater than he really is. He thinks his hair is God's gift to everyone. He thinks he's so high up on the pedestal that everybody else is a piece of trash. And you need to follow him because he's so great. He's such a nice guy. He's not going to say it, but he's a nice guy. Impairments, this is number 2. We're going to continue. Impairment, because I've got other things I want to talk about than Thumper. Impairments in interpersonal functioning, empathy, impaired ability to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. Excessively attuned to reactions of others, but only if perceived as relevant to their self. Intimacy. Relationships largely superficial and exist to serve self-esteem regulation. Okay, just for a second, compare and contrast between the two front runners. I'm not publicly endorsing anyone on this show. Eventually, I will come out and say who I am publicly supporting, and I think many of you will probably get the hint. But compare and contrast this, and you've seen the picture coming across Facebook, where you've got Thumper's wife, who's probably needs an age warning on the pictures that are released, and you got to fill out a short little survey to make sure you're old enough and prove that you're old enough in order to see them, because it could be pretty close to pornography, versus someone else whose wife can get out there and beautifully articulate exactly what her husband's stance is on any given issue. And she dresses like a first lady. She covers herself. She's modest. She actually has a brain between her ears. The other one? I don't know. I'm really questioning it because she hasn't really come out and said much lately. You know, she's just arm candy. Let's continue, shall we? Pathological personality traits in the following domain. Antagonism, characterized by grandiosity, feelings of entitlement, either overt or covert, self-centeredness, firmly holding to the belief that one is better than others, condescending towards others. Have you not seen this this person at the debates? Have you not seen how he conducts his speech towards someone else? Take, for instance, the first debate where he looks over there and says, "Hey, you're having a really tough time tonight, aren't you?" No, jackass, you're just not giving him a chance to speak. I don't care if he's got ramen noodles for hair. Let the man talk. Because he's got a little more foreign policy experience than you. I kind of lean a little more towards ramen head than I do comb over. Attention-seeking, excessive attempts to attract and be the focus of the attention of others. You could literally go and look, I'm not even going to get into the next list on them, because I want to dive into this, into this game plan that he's doing. I'm exposing it. I'm shining a light where others are too scared to go because they're worried about their ratings. But you could, if you went down this list, you would be able to put Thumper's name next to every single point. And in the end, what you're going to come out with is a list of personality traits that describe Thumper almost to a T. So, how does his narcissistic personality disorder fit into his game plan? Check this out. This just happens to be a copy of their game plan. This section is called In the Beginning. Now, I'm quoting straight from this book, and if you think you know what it is, go ahead and throw it out in the chat room. And I apologize if you're listening out there and you, because I forgot to direct you how to get to the chat room. There's two different ways. TheStaffordVoice.com/listen live, or you can go to K98talk.com/chat-room. Either one of the two, it's the same chat room. Like-minded individuals, they're willing to talk it up and chat along with you, and you never know. I'm paying attention to what they're saying, and look, I would pick a padded toilet seat over Donald Trump. Okay? So if you're in the chat room and you know what I'm talking about when it comes to padded toilet seats, you know what I mean. So if you're in the chat room, go ahead and log in real quick and tell me what you think I'm reading from. In the beginning, the incoming organizer must establish his identity, or, putting it another way, get his license to operate. He must have a reason for being there, a reason acceptable to the people. His acceptance as an organizer depends on his success in convincing key people, and many others, first, that he is on their side, and second, that he has ideas and knows how to fight to change things, that he's not one of these guys doing his thing, that he's a winner. Okay, so right there, two flipping paragraphs that describe exactly what Donald Trump is doing. He has already created a reason for people to want him. Yes, Slick Alinsky. We're reading from Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. How many times have we been told to look at what is in this book? And how many times have we talked about it on the show? Once? Twice? A handful? Many of you don't want to go out into the liberal section of your local library or a bookstore. So what we'll do on this show is we'll shine the damn light and we'll call him out for what he is. Doing his thing. He's not one of those guys. Of course not. He's going against the grain. He's not a community. He's not a Washington elite. This is the same manual that our current president used. He loves Saul Alinsky. Let's continue. It's not enough to persuade them of your competence, talents, and courage. They must have faith in your ability and courage. They must believe in your capacity not just to provide the opportunity for action, power, change, adventure, a piece of the drama of life, but to give a very definite promise, almost an assurance of victory. How many times has he gone out there and said, he is the only person that can win? He will win, and he will win so much that people will get tired of winning. They must also have faith in your courage to fight the oppressive establishment. How many times has he made those comments? Courage that they too will begin to get once they have the protective armor of a power organization, but don't have during the first lonely steps forward. Okay. And this one actually plays into his favor, and because when you go against the establishment, you're already seen as the winner because everybody is not part of the establishment. Everybody is sick of the establishment. The job of the organizer is to maneuver and bait the establishment so that it will publicly attack him as a quote-unquote dangerous enemy. The word enemy is sufficient to put the organizer on the side of the people, to identify him with the have-nots, but is not enough to endow him with the special qualities that induce fear and thus give him the means to establish his own power against the establishment. I gotta jump ahead real quick because I wanna get onto I want to get into a little bit of the John Paul Ryan budget deal. I want to talk to you about a couple of the things that happened in that. I'm trying to remember where I wanted to pick up. Okay, here we are. Where it talks about the process of power. From the moment the organizer enters a community, he lives, dreams, eats, breathes, sleeps only one thing, and that is to build the mass power base of what he calls the army. Until he has developed that mass power base, he confronts no major issues. We all know and witnessed the other night during the debate that whenever it came up to an actual issue, Thumper was silent. I think there was almost a 30 to 45 minute span of time that he didn't utter a single word. It was the best part of the debate. When it was Marco Rubio versus Ted Cruz and they were going back and forth. That was an actual debate. That was fun to watch. Donald Trump has no substance. I've given way too much damn attention to him. Yeah, we may have to cover it again a little in the upcoming days. I am so sick and tired of hearing about Thumper and how he's the only hope we've got. I'm so sick of it. If the only calling I have is to shine a damn flashlight until the batteries in that thing are dead, as I try and expose Thumper for who he is and what he is, then so be it. I'm sick of it. The guy took his company bankrupt how many times? One of the biggest issues we have as a country is the financial ruin we are in. And we want to elect a guy that has taken his company bankrupt? And when he's confronted about it, he says, well, I just used the laws in my favor. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take a short little break, and we're going to use Campaign Roundup for this break. These were some of the comments that happened over the weekend that I was going to put out on Monday's show, but didn't get a chance to because, as you guys know, life happens, okay? Unlike climate change that we can control, we can't really control what happens in our lives, and life happens, okay? So here's a handful of comments that were said over the weekend by some of those out on the campaign trail. Let's see what they had to say.
We've got to get down to the problems. We can't worry about being politically correct. We just can't afford anymore to be so politically correct.
It's a false narrative that we only have two choices, to bring in thousands of Syrian refugees or to turn our backs in cold, hard indifference. We have another option, and that is to support the safe havens that they have over there.
We can't ignore that he's touched on some issues that people are concerned about. If you look at the statements he made this week, obviously I think he made them partially to recapture the limelight after having lost it.
Well, and it's abundantly clear it isn't. Anyone who watched President Obama's speech after the San Bernardino attack was horrified. This is a president who's in denial, whose head is stuck in the sand. He still refuses to say the words radical Islamic terrorism. He believes the bad guys are the American people. It's why he stands up and says, we need to take away the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. That's exactly backwards. And this has been the consistent problem in the Obama administration, is they can't distinguish from good guys and bad guys. Not being willing to say radical Islamic terrorism contributes to their inability to fight terrorism. Rubio is lying, and that he's following Alinskyite attacks just like Barack Obama.
Okay, we're back. I am your host, Daniel Stafford, and yes, this is the Stafford Voice. Okay, so, Paul Ryan. I've got to come up with a good nickname for him, because this piece of trash, his first major achievement as new speaker is a complete betrayal of Americans. We tried to warn you. Paul Ryan was not the guy. We tried. So what happened? $1.1 trillion. Not million, not billion. We're talking trillion. $1.1 trillion spelled out in more than 2,000 pages. They put out this massive bill, this massive spending bill. And this is a big middle finger to your face from John Paul Ryan. Maybe that's what we should call him. I mean, you guys, that's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to do me a favor. You guys come up with some of the best names that we can call him. I'm going to throw mine out there. I'm going to refer to him as John Paul. Because right now he's no better in my eyes than John Boehner. This is exactly what John Boehner would have done. So I'm going to call him John Paul. And so what I want you guys to do is head out there over on the Twitters or on the Facebook page and come up with some ideas. Tag me or use or even come up with a new show hashtag, whether it's like hashtag TSV show or whatever. You guys know how to contact me. Come up with a good nickname so we can use to so we know who we're talking about when we're talking about John Paul. Boehner-Ryan. So what was in this enormous bill? And hat tip to Breitbart for this, but they kind of threw out some of the things that was happening with this bill. Number one is it fully funds DACA. And DACA is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Basically, all these kids that are coming over who are illegal aliens, we let them stay because they're dreamers. It's their dream to be an American, when really it's not. But so it fully funds that. What else does it do in relation to illegals? Oh, get this. It funds sanctuary cities. On top of that, it funds all refugee programs. Also funds all of the Mideast immigration programs that have been exploited by terrorists in recent years. So that's right there where what we're talking about is, for instance, the visas that were used to bring over the Tashfeen Malik or whatever the hell her name was from we saw at the terrorist attack in San Bernardino. This funds those type of things. It funds those visa programs that brought terrorists over. It funds the resettlement of illegal aliens. Now, again, you can head over to Breitbart, and they've even got the page numbers of this bill that you can look at. It funds the release of criminal aliens. This bill is horrendous. This is ridiculous. It also quadruples foreign worker visas, those H-2B visas. It funds the tax credits for illegal aliens. You know, while you're over here paying your ass in taxes, you're just giving it to an illegal alien. So, you know, every time a bell rings, an illegal alien gets its green card. 'Tis the season, right? Let alone the massive spending increases. This is absolutely and utterly stupid. I have no idea why he would have allowed this. This is unreal. It's so stupid. It goes against everything that he had said he would do. He said going into this job he wasn't going to do stuff like this, and straight out of the gate, the first thing he does is passes a $1.1 trillion, 2,000-plus page bill. Unreal. Now, when we come back, I want to talk to you about something that's a little unreal as well, but completely real. And quite frankly, if you don't have these, well, it's just un-American. If you don't have these new talking point Christmas placemats, these are the talk of the town right here. I mean, if you really need to go out and find these. You need to find these, and you need to have them on your table for Christmas. These talking point Christmas placemats are incredible. Now, as we go to break, I want to remind you guys about some friends of mine over at RWNJ Funding. And I know the last thing you want to hear about is another crowdfunding site. We've got Kickstart My Heart or something like that. You've got you got a handful of other crowdfunding sites. But if you're tired of the PC game, you need to look at RWNJ Funding. Because these guys, they don't play that game. They're trustworthy. They hold true to conservative and libertarian ideals like no one else. This is a company that truly reflects constitutional values. And they're not going to cave in and cancel your campaign because somebody got a little butthurt over something you said or did. Okay? This company believes in you more than you will ever know. And they want to help you achieve your goal. It's not too good to be true. You just do me a favor, head over to rwnjfunding.com. Again, that's rwnjfunding.com and start your campaign today. I'll be starting one in January at the start of the year to as our placeholder for our pledge drive for the year 2016. It's the only place that I will go. I truly, truly trust the guys over at rwnjfunding.com. And when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about these incredible new Talking Point Christmas placemats. We'll be right back.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name like a long
I'm not the type of guy that jumps into anything without first doing my research. And when I was looking for a holster, I'll admit I was having one heck of a time. You know what I'm talking about here. You find one you like, you try it on, it would be clunky. Another one fits good, but costs way too much. So you try on one last holster, it was slim, lightweight, priced right, but lo and behold, you slide your pistol in, and it falls right out. So what do? You've tried all these mass market holsters. Well, go custom. I know what you're thinking. I thought it too. Too pricey. Wrong. My guy over at Rebel Road Tactical will not only put together the perfect fitting, hand-molded, hand-assembled, custom Kydex holster, but you'll get it at an affordable price. Don't wait. Contact Rebel Road Tactical today at 682-217-4579. Again, that's 682-217-4579. Place your order.
It's the dramatic reinvention of Talk Radio.
Here come the spy dolphins.
The only thing that can cure racism is Robert E. Lee's penis.
Who named this cat Limberbutt McCubbin? A Trump-Biden debate.
Plugs versus rugs. Real serious nonsense. The show's so bad, you'll laugh at us.
The worst podcast. We obviously hold that title.
Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. And yes, this is the Stafford Voice. I'm your host, Daniel Stafford. And look, before the break, I was telling you about these new Talking Point Christmas placemats. These placemats are incredible. They were put out, to know how incredible they are, I've got to tell you, these were put together by Harvard University. So you know right then how awesome they are. But this is a holiday placemat for, as they put it, a holiday placemat for social justice. It's a placemat guide for holiday discussions on race and justice with loved ones. Here, they give you a couple of tips for talking to families. Listen mindfully before formulating a thoughtful response. Breathe. Ask questions when people express strong opinions. Affirm. Clarify the difference between the good intentions and the impact. Also, make sure you speak from a place of mutual interest, sharing personal experiences and emotions. Okay, so like what? Take, for instance, the housemaster title. So if somebody was to ask this question, why did they change the name? What does a housemaster have to do with slavery? It's not related to that at all. So here's a response that you could use. For some, the term master, used to describe stewardship of a group of people, such as a house, is reminiscent of slave masters and the legacy of slavery. The title housemaster is no longer actively associated with its historical antecedents, nor is it used to address housemasters. Given the name is offensive to groups of people, it doesn't seem onerous to change it. Okay, well, what about Islamophobia or refugees? Excuse me. Aside from the fact that the word Islamophobia is completely and utterly stupid, a phobia is an irrational fear, whereas thank you, Tina, in the chat room. I think a lot of people are actually genuinely scared of what is happening due to radical Islam. So here's one question or phrase that's posed. We shouldn't let anyone in the U.S. from Syria. We can't guarantee that terrorists won't infiltrate the ranks of refugees. They've already done it in France. Your response could be this. The U.S. has been accepting refugees from the war-torn areas around the world for decades. Remember the wars in Central America? Well, they were extremely violent, and the U.S. accepted refugees from all sides of the wars with very strict vetting, and not one incident of violence. Racial justice includes welcoming Syrian refugees. Well, if that one really doesn't fit your table, maybe this one will. The Harvard Republican Club, and God bless them for this. This is awesome. They put out their own version of the holiday placemat. They call theirs the Holiday Placemat for Common Sense, a placemat guide for holiday discussions with your Harvard College administrators. So, what they say is this, quote, I've printed out, this is coming from one of the administrators, one of the liberal professors, says, I've printed out some convenient political opinions for you to have and share with your parents. Your response could be this. Well, part of a great college education is exposure to a variety of views and healthy, engaging discussion. Let me decide if I agree with Harvard's stance on these issues. And let me decide how to defend or support my stance. Harvard administrators shouldn't be plastering their political beliefs on our dining hall tables. Okay, well, what about this? There's 4 sections to each one of these placemats, by the way. So I'm trying to decide which one to use. My eyes are really drawn to this purple one here for some reason. It says, so this is coming from your liberal administrator. Your families don't hold our political beliefs, and you can be the voice of reason. Your response could be this. Harvard shouldn't be trying to influence our family conversations while we're at home. We're mature enough to engage with our families and defend and discuss our opinions without being told what to say. Also, don't assume that our families are uneducated or unaware about the nuances of these issues. Again, thumbs up to the Harvard Republican Club for putting out their holiday placemat for common sense to counter the ignorance in the other holiday placemat. Because for me and my house, we've got Christmas placemats. All right. You know what? With that, let's take one final little break, and when we come back, we'll do On This Day in History, and then, yes, we've got some buffoon out there that said something completely stupid, and, well, we just want to highlight it. So we'll be right back.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of liberty-conservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared. Not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right round.
Ebola
Anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whether you're an employee or business owner, when it comes to the correct course of legal action, it's the first step that is important. And make that first step with attorney Ted Hong. You need someone you can trust and has the experience you need when it comes to workplace and employment law. If you've lost your employment due to discrimination, false accusations, or being denied benefits, you need Ted Hong. Or if you're an employer who wants to ensure compliance with workplace regulations and labor contracts, you need Ted Hong. Ted and his team also cover family and property law and estate litigation as well. Ted has over 30 years of experience, and him and his amazing legal team will provide you cost-effective legal consultation and make the experience all about you and your needs. For more information or to set up a consultation, contact the law office of Ted Hong at 808-933-1919 or visit tedhonglaw.com. Ted Hong, an experienced and principled attorney you can trust. 808-933-1919 or tedhonglaw.com.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
All right, we are back. Excuse me. So, what happened on this day in history? Well, back in 1903... Oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, you'll kind of figure it out here in just a second. Orville and Wilbur Wright grew up in Dayton, Ohio. They did not attend college, but they didn't let it hold them back from solving problems with their mechanical design. I mean, these guys were smart. They got started building printing presses, and in 1892, they opened a bicycle sales and repair shop, and before everyone knew it, they were building their own bicycles. Put all that together, they finally had a way to fund their dream of building the world's first airplane. So they got to work researching where to test and they studied other failed attempts. And in 1900, they tested a glider, but look, it did not perform very good at all. So they came back a year later. A new design in 1901 performed much, much better. That same year, they built a wind tunnel. Okay, listen. These guys had this is how smart they were. They built their own wind tunnel. And they got to work testing new wings and new designs for the airframe. And in 1902, they developed a steering system. And this pretty much solved the problem of controlled flight. So they designed a little 12-horsepower engine with the help of a machinist they knew named Charles Taylor. And in 1903, they transported all the pieces to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And after more testing, they made their first attempt on December 14th. Well, the plane was damaged due to some engine issues, and after 3 days of repairing it, at 10:35 in the morning on this day in history, December 17th, 1903, in front of 5 witnesses, it took flight for 120 feet, and it stayed in air for 12 seconds. Also, on this day in history, 1989, Okay, now, I'm completely guilty with this because I loved watching this show growing up as a kid. Oh! Crazy family of 5, including Marge, Homer, Bart, Lisa, Maggie. You know who I'm talking about. This show was the brainchild of the creator, Matt Groening. And it was originally crafted after members of his own family, with Bart being modeled after himself. And so they put together these little shorts, and they became part of the Tracy Ullman Show, which was very, very crude. I mean, it looked like it definitely not the quality of The Simpsons that we see on TV today. I've seen some of the really old shorts that were on Tracy Ullman Show. Funny? Crude drawings. But anyway, so on the Tracy Ullman Show, it ran for 3 seasons, actually, and it was turned into a half-hour primetime show for Fox. And it was on this day in history, December 17th, 1989, where it first debuted. It is America's longest-running sitcom and is in its 27th season right now. Kudos to Matt Groening. I mean, who knew that a cartoon could, that an animated series like The Simpsons could run for 27 seasons? I can't. They came out with a movie. Good show. Has definitely changed over the years, but nonetheless, unlike the family has never grown up. Bart's the same age as he always has been. It would have been fun for the show to have kind of changed and morphed to go along with. So those that started way back in the days in early Simpsons history, where the kids could have grown up, had their own kids of themselves, and Homer and Marge would have been really old, and that would have been really cool to see. Maybe we can get in contact with Matt Groening and you guys can tell him what we think. But, you know, I'm looking over at the time and I'm realizing what time it is. It is that time. Yes, it is. That's right. It is time for Who Said That. And this week, you just got to check this out. This is almost on the verge of being creepy. Check this out.
If the world's not able to come up with some sort of plan to move forward, what are the consequences?
Nature will take care of itself. You know, because nature doesn't need people. People need nature to survive. If people knew the benefits of nature besides cute animals and a place for them to vacation, if they knew that nature provided clean air, fresh water, pollinators for our crops, new medicines, new food crops, and that we can't afford to produce these things for ourselves, but that a healthy and vibrant nature gives those services to us, they would understand the full value of nature. We're now all in this point in time on this planet, and if we don't work together, the consequences are disastrous. Not right now, but for our children and our children's children and the future of humanity, the planet will be okay. There just won't be any damn people on it.
Okay, Harrison Ford had his Gary Busey moment, and maybe the two of them are related. Maybe they're long-lost cousins separated at birth many, many years ago, back before Star Wars ruined Harrison Ford's mind. I don't know, maybe he got poked in the head with a lightsaber years and years ago, but this was Harrison Ford's Gary Busey moment. Just really, really creepy. Sorry, but I'm calling it for what it is. Extremely creepy. The tone of his voice, let alone the fact that he is a little wacky on his climate change analysis, and nature is without nature, nature doesn't exist, and we need nature because nature has to exist, and we need nature more than nature needs nature, and nature this and nature that, and nature Nutri-Grain nature bars or something. I don't know. Anyway, look, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight, and God willing, we will be back next week. The Stafford Voice, your host, Daniel Stafford. Follow me over on Twitter at Stafford Voice. Look me up on the Facebooks by searching for The Stafford Voice. Click follow, click like, whatever you've got to do. Let's stay in contact. Email your questions, comments, or concerns to me at thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Again, my email is thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your time, and until next week, thanks and God bless.